If you really think about it, it's actually insane that a game this massive was running on the PlayStation 2. We're talking about a map that's over 20 miles long, packed with detail and full of things you can do. You could explore an entire open world, steal different cars, mess with NPCs, start gang wars, fly planes, ride trains, and travel across 3 completely different cities plus a huge countryside. And somehow, Rockstar got all of this running on the PS2, a console that launched back in 2000. Now yeah, the PS2 was legendary, but technically, it was weak even for its time. It had a custom Emotion Engine processor and only 32 megabytes of RAM. Not gigabytes, megabytes. To put that into perspective, a single photo on your phone today is probably bigger than the amount of RAM GTA San Andreas had to work with. And yet Rockstar still made San Andreas feel alive, huge, and almost limitless. So in this video, I'm not going to talk about CJ's backstory or hidden myths or cheat codes. Today we're talking about something way crazier. How did Rockstar force the PS2 to run GTA San Andreas? What kind of black magic optimization did they use? How did this game even exist without melting the console? And the craziest part? The tricks Rockstar used in San Andreas literally changed open world game design forever. So first we need to talk about the real enemy of GTA San Andreas. Not graphics, not physics, not AI, memory. The PlayStation 2 hardware was weird. Its Emotion Engine processor was powerful in some ways, but the RAM was painfully tiny. That was the real problem. See, in GTA 3 and Vice City, the map was separated into islands. Bridges and loading tricks connected different sections of the city. That made memory management easier. But San Andreas was different. Rockstar wanted you to grab a bike in Los Santos, drive through the countryside, cross deserts, reach San Fierro, then go all the way to Las Venturas, without a single loading screen. Today, that sounds normal. Back then, that sounded impossible. Because if Rockstar tried loading the entire map into memory at once, the PS2 would probably explode before CJ's house even rendered. So what was the solution? Simple. Lie to the player. Seriously, the world of San Andreas does not permanently exist. It's an illusion. The city is constantly being created and destroyed around you every single second, and the game hides it so smoothly that most players never notice. And this is where the real hero enters the story, the streaming engine. San Andreas used Renderware's streaming system to constantly pull data directly from the PS2 disc into memory while you moved through the world. Imagine driving an Infernus at 120 miles per hour down the highway. The game only has 32 megabytes of RAM. Inside that tiny space, it has to fit the game code, physics, AI, audio, textures, cars, pedestrians, animations, everything. And because you're moving so fast, the world around you changes every half second. So the streaming engine basically worked like a maniacal juggler. As you drove forward, the game deleted buildings behind you from memory while loading new buildings ahead of you directly from the DVD. Constant destruction, constant creation, all happening seamlessly in real time. And honestly, it was genius. The garbage collection system was super aggressive too. If you look north, the game would often delete data from the south side of the map just to free memory. And if you spun the camera too quickly, sometimes you could actually catch the game struggling. That's why buildings sometimes looked blurry for a second before sharpening, or why textures occasionally popped in late. The PS2 was literally operating on the edge of collapse, and things got even worse because of the DVD drive. In linear games, data is stored in predictable locations, so the laser inside the disk drive doesn't need to move much. But in an open world game like San Andreas, the player could go anywhere at any time. That meant the PS2 laser had to constantly jump around the disk reading different pieces of data hundreds of times every second. And because of that, older PS2 models started failing. Thousands of players got hit with the infamous disk read error. San Andreas basically became a stress test for the PS2 DVD drive. Now here's another crazy optimization trick. Have you ever noticed that when you drive a sports car, suddenly the whole city is filled with sports cars? Or when you drive a taxi, all you see are taxis everywhere? Most people thought that was intentional design. It wasn't. The game simply couldn't afford loading too many unique car models into memory at once. If your sports car model was already loaded in RAM, spawning more of the same car was cheap. Loading completely different cars from the disk was expensive and slow. So Rockstar cloned existing vehicles to save memory and streaming bandwidth. Same thing happened with pedestrians too. And this wasn't laziness. This was surgical level resource management. Now let's talk about the orange fog. That warm orange sky and blurry heat haze in the PS2 version. Most people think it was purely artistic, and yes, it absolutely added atmosphere. But technically, it was also hiding the map. If the game showed the full horizon clearly, players would see the actual edge of the world and the engine limitations. So Rockstar used heavy atmospheric fog to hide distant pop-in and reduce render distance. And they weren't the first developers to use this trick either. The game also used different versions of buildings depending on distance. Close-up buildings were high detail. Faraway buildings were low detail models that were basically cardboard cutouts. So when you flew a plane, the engine constantly swapped fake distant objects with real ones as you approached. Sometimes you could even see the world loading in front of your eyes, and when you flew too fast, especially with the Hydra jet, the game started panicking, cars disappeared, roads blurred out, fog became insanely dense. Honestly, the Hydra's max speed was probably designed around the limits of the DVD streaming system itself. Go faster than that and you'd basically outrun reality. Now let's talk about audio. San Andreas had a ridiculous amount of radio music, dialogue, and sound effects, and all of that audio had to be compressed and streamed directly from the DVD too. The sound engine used a priority system. Engine sounds came first, radio came second, gunshots came after that, and random pedestrian dialogue that got sacrificed immediately if too much was happening. That's why during giant explosions or chaotic moments, the radio sometimes cuts out. That wasn't a bug, that was real-time audio budgeting. And then there's CJ himself. One of the coolest features in San Andreas was the body system. CJ could become fat, muscular, or skinny depending on how you played. That required real-time mesh deformation, which was insanely expensive for the PS2 CPU. Rockstar optimized renderware down to assembly-level code just to make all of this possible. And that's also why facial animations were pretty basic. There simply wasn't enough power left. According to Rockstar developers, the original plan was actually to create 3 separate maps, a safer option. But eventually they decided to merge everything into one gigantic, seamless world. And honestly, that decision changed gaming forever. The larger world also caused floating point precision problems, also known as Z-fighting, so Rockstar implemented local coordinate systems based around the player position. Some missions even temporarily changed memory behavior behind the scenes just to avoid crashes. Changing one variable in Los Santos could accidentally break a mission out in the desert. The entire game was basically controlled chaos. And somehow, it still shipped as a complete and stable masterpiece, which honestly proves Rockstar's QA team was absolutely insane. And here's the ironic part about modern remasters. Today we have more RAM, faster storage, and massively stronger hardware, but somehow some of the atmosphere got lost. And yeah, this is just my opinion. But without the heavy orange fog, the map feels smaller. Without the low-resolution grainy textures, the world feels flatter. The limitations of the PS2 accidentally became part of San Andreas' identity. Its weaknesses became its greatest strengths. And that's what makes GTA San Andreas so legendary. Not just because it was huge, but because Rockstar somehow forced impossible hardware to do the impossible. And they changed open world games forever because of it. So yeah, that's the story of how GTA San Andreas pushed the PlayStation 2 to its absolute limits without completely breaking it. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know what topic you want next. I'll see you guys in the next one.